At the beginning of my career, I aroused a lot of interest. People were looking at me because I was different. I was the only disabled person amongst my fellow players. It's true that some people looked at me with blinkers on. They saw my disability first, and then my playing skills second. From the outset, I divided opinions. Some thought that I could go on and have a future in the sport, whilst others believed that I would disappear from the table tennis scene in only a couple of years. But as it's turned out, the fact that I don't have a right arm hasn't hampered my ability to progress in the game. I have always found ways to overcome obstacles in my path. And as you can see, I'm good at playing table tennis. And I hope that this will be the case for a long time to come.
Natalia Partyka is one of the most talented table tennis players in the world today. With her graceful style and tactical awareness, she's dominated the Paralympic scene for a number of years. And in more recent times, the 21-year-old Pole has begun to make a significant impact in competitions for able-bodied players. To find out more about this remarkable athlete, Trans World Sport met up with Natalia recently in her home city of Gdansk.
To be a success in any sport, you have to be a fighter. I think that's a really crucial quality. You have to fight for everything. Every ball, every point, every result, every aim, every dream. I feel that I have the right qualities and character for my sport. I'm an ambitious person. When I decide to do something, I go for it 100% in my own unique way.
Natalia's disability is classed as below elbow congenital amputation, which basically means that she was born without the lower part of her right arm. She began playing table tennis at the age of 7. By the time she was 11, Natalia became the world's youngest ever Paralympian when she competed in Sydney in 2000. 4 years later, at the Athens Paralympics, she struck gold in the individual competition and silver in the team event. After the Games, the 15-year-old Natalia began to compete more regularly alongside able-bodied players, and soon had won several medals at junior tournaments around Europe.
When I first started competing against able-bodied players, I got a lot of attention. There hadn't been a situation like this before. Nobody had ever seen a little girl with one hand who could play like this. As time went on, and with me competing at more and more tournaments, the novelty began to wear off. My opponents had to recognize me as a good player first and foremost. They knew that they would be in for a tough game when they faced me.
Overseeing Natalia's progress in the sport has been her longtime mentor, Michał Zubianski. The former pro is also the Polish women's national team coach.
Natalia is without doubt one of the most competitive players that I have ever seen in my career. She is so strong mentally, and this makes her a very tough opponent. She just never gives up, and she's a joy to work with. A left-handed player, Natalia can attack on both sides of the table. She has an outstanding forehand and backhand.
Natalia's skill around the table is all the more impressive when you consider that most players use their free arm to maintain their balance and to toss the ball up when serving.
I'm always trying to improve the quality of my serve. It's something that I spend a lot of time on trying to perfect. One thing that I cannot do, though, is throw the ball up high. But this is something that isn't so necessary for my type of serves.
In 2008, Natalia became only the 5th athlete in history to compete at both the Paralympics and Olympics. She won individual gold at the Beijing Paralympics, and at the Olympics, she competed in the team event.
I remember my time in Beijing very well. It was an extraordinary experience for me. It had long been a dream of mine to compete in an Olympic Games. And in Beijing, that dream came true, but only partially. I only competed in the team tournament at the Olympics. I didn't manage to qualify for the individual competition, so I still have this dream to fulfill. Competing in the individual tournament at the Olympics is still something that I want to do.
Following her exploits in Beijing, Natalia returned home to Gdansk a national hero. She was named Poland's Sports Personality of the Year for 2008 and was honoured by her country's president. The 21-year-old is one of the most famous people in Poland and has a whole host of sponsorship deals.
When I came back from Beijing, the reaction that I got was so positive. A lot of people knew who I was. Some people even stopped me in the street and told me they'd been watching me in Beijing on the TV. I was shown a lot of goodwill, and many people wished me a lot of success.
The Patyka family have looked on with immense pride at Natalia's success. Mom Alicia puts her achievements down to the fact that her youngest daughter has never let her disability limit her.
Despite the disability, Natalia was always very ambitious and independent when she was a little girl. Now she remains a very hard-working person, and she tries her best to achieve the goals which she has set for herself.
Since Beijing, Natalia has focused more and more on competing alongside able-bodied players. A regular face on the ITTF's Pro Tour, she's broken into the world's top 50 and has even beaten the world number 6.
There are a lot of really good players out there. So to rise up the rankings, my game has to be perfect. There are some really outstanding Asian players, and in Europe, there are a large number of Chinese-born players who are dominant. It will be very difficult to reach the top, but I believe that it's possible. I just need to keep working hard.
The next big goals for Natalia will be the London Olympics and Paralympics. At this stage in her career, the aim is to qualify for the individual Olympic competition. However, looking further ahead to the 2016 Games in Brazil, Natalia has her sights set on actually winning an Olympic medal, a feat that would go down as one of the greatest achievements in sporting history.
Table tennis is my passion. It's something that I love to do, and I cannot imagine my life without it. I've been playing this sport for a long time, and I hope to continue playing for another 10 to 15 years. I believe that my biggest successes as a player are still ahead of me, and it's my hope that the world will be hearing about me again and again.